The African elephant is in crisis. With an estimated 100 killed every day by poachers, this gentle giant is facing extinction. But in southern Africa, nature reserves are struggling with a different problem: overpopulation.
Elephants are confined to 6% of the land they once had, because our human population since 1940 to today has increased by 1 billion people.
Hello, baby.
In South Africa, one family has dedicated their lives to finding ways for humans and elephants to live together and help each other. This is their adventure with elephants. This is Inside Africa.
Our aim is to try and educate as many people as we can about elephants. You can watch an elephant on TV, and then I can watch them in Kruger, and I can learn a certain amount. But actually getting up close and personal and actually getting to know their personalities, getting to understand them better, I think leaves a lasting impression in you. So our interactions are geared towards that.
Sean and Mike Hensman inherited their love of elephants from their father, Rory. A farmer turned conservationist, he was forced to move his family from Zimbabwe to South Africa in 2002 after his land was confiscated by the government as part of Robert Mugabe's land seizures.
Our first 2 elephants came from the culling operations that were taking place in Zimbabwe, and Dad basically had turned one of our commercial farms into a bit of a game farm, and he really just wanted us as kids to grow up learning about elephants in our backyard. So he asked the then Zim Parks to deliver us orphans from the culls.
Jumbo and Miss Ellie were just 125 centimeters tall when they arrived on the farm and became part of a whole menagerie of orphaned animals that found their way into the Hensman household.
My first pet was a warthog. My next pet was a kudu. I had pet impala, duiker, serval cats. We had all these animals that Dad brought home as orphans and looked after them. And so getting a couple of elephants into the mix was not really anything unusual.
As youngsters growing up in Zimbabwe, Sean and Mike watched and learned from their father, who had an uncanny ability of communicating with the elephants. Today, Sean has a herd of his own.
Oh, Sambezi, it's so hard to get up.
So this is Chishuru. He comes from a hunting farm up near Messina. They had an overpopulation problem, and sadly nobody wanted them, so the farmer's only option was to cull them. And instead of him culling, he offered them to us. His idea was pretty much along the same lines as Dad, to use them to educate the public. He's actually my favorite elephant. So Zambezi in front of us, his mother is Shan on the other side. And then this one's Nunedi. She's the auntie of the group. She is also our accident-prone elephant, so if there's an accident waiting to happen, that's unfortunately she'll be the one that finds it.
The Hensman's elephant family is made up of 5 adults and 2 babies: Zambezi, who is 2 years old, and 14-month-old Bella, who still suckles from her mother, Shan.
And I have a very healthy respect for Shan, who's the mother, and she's the matriarch. And me and her have a bit of a love-respect relationship. She definitely tells me who's boss. No food, no attention. Talking to you, they're gone.
Sean says the work they do here has 2 distinct divisions: adventures with elephants, where members of the public are able to interact with the elephants, and a research unit named in honor of his father.
All of our research that we do here falls under the Rory Hensman Conservation Research Unit, and we run it like that. We give people access to our elephants to be able to do research with them, and then we're also trying to assist elephants in the wild through conservation projects.
So one of the advantages of working with the Rory Hensman Conservation Research Unit is that it's also a platform to engage people who have small elephant populations on their land.
Cape Town-based scientist Katerina von Durkheim is a regular visitor here. She's studying olfaction, the elephant's sense of smell.
Olfaction is central to elephant society. They use chemical cues in the environment to make decisions on foraging, social communication, reproduction, as well as predator avoidance. And in fact, research has shown that elephants in Kenya can use olfactory cues to gauge predator threat from two tribes in Kenya. One they run from because they get speared by the Maasai, and the other they don't run from. So that led us to the question if elephants can actually not only discriminate between ethnic tribes, but between individual human beings. So what we're doing here is a human scent matching to sample protocol with elephants that's based on what the best canine units in the world are trained to do.
Okay, so his first task is to stand on the mat behind the screen so that he can't see how we're changing the jars behind there. Inside this jar we've got a cloth that has the scent of a person on it, and I'm going to introduce the scent to him here, and then he's going to walk along this line of buckets and try to find the scent that matches this one, and he'll indicate that he's found it by lifting his foot off the ground, and that's as simple as it is. Okay, so if you listen to how he sucks and sniffs. Okay, I'll give him the command to search for it. Twaga. Good boy. Good. Good boy. Good boy.
If you look at forensic canines, for example, that are supposedly the best sniffers in the world, and we have animals here with nearly triple the olfactory receptors, and dogs can sniff out bladder cancer in humans. They can conduct wildlife surveys, they can track people, they can unearth dangerous or illegal substances, and we're only sort of now tapping into what these elephants can do.
Although they can easily sniff out traces of explosives, Sean emphasizes that the goal is to empower the elephants, not put them in harm's way.
You are too clever, my boy. Well done.
We don't want to put our elephants into the line of fire at all. We don't want them tracking, poachers. We don't really want them in landmine fields or anything like that. It's much easier to bring samples back to the elephant and get the elephants to analyze those samples here, where the elephants are comfortable, where they're safe, and where we can actually do it effectively and properly.
While still in Zimbabwe, Rory Hensman realized how intelligent his elephants were and trained them to help with simple farm chores like rounding up cattle, checking fences, and conducting anti-poaching patrols.
Back. Good.
But then, disaster struck. Ahead, escaping Zimbabwe with elephants in tow.